The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
People get ready for the train to come. You don't need no baggage, you just need on board. You need is faith to hear the diesels humming.
Hello, everybody out there listening to Armed Radio. My name is Donald Whisman, and we're broadcasting live from Boston, Massachusetts. Sorry about that, folks. Welcome to our third show, All Aboard, with me, Donald Whisman, and Todd Doyle. He's my friend. Go ahead and say hi, Todd.
Hello, Arm Radio, the audience out there listening. I hope everybody's ready for a great show tonight, and I hope everybody out there, if you want to follow us on Facebook, we're in the Trump 2020 exclamation point group on Facebook. You search your groups for Trump 2020 exclamation point. We got a lot of great people in there. We do live videos all the time. If you want to see what we look like or follow us or hear anything more, we do it throughout the week when we have time. So if you can join us over there, that'd be great too.
Great. I love that, Todd. Well, anyway, let's get this show started. All aboard with Donald Whisman and Todd Doyle. And how I always start my show, I'm going to tell you guys, I did vote for Donald Trump. I support him 100%. I cherish the Constitution. I respect our flag. And I love to hear the national anthem. You guys, here lately, you know that the last couple shows, me and Todd, we discuss our president, Donald Trump, a lot. We discuss issues that go on in our country, and we've discussed some issues that's taking place outside of our country. So tonight we're going to be a little bit in the country and out of the country tonight. But there's been a lot of people out there lately, folks. Here lately, a lot of people, and I'm not a hater, trust me, I'm not a hater, but there's a lot of people, and you know this, Todd, they've got this new disease, and I'm going to name this disease. I'm going to call it Trumpophobia. And in our country, a lot of people's got this Trumpophobia. It's like when these people get this disease, if they see a hurricane, they don't see a hurricane. They think of it as a Trumpicane. If they see a tornado, they don't see a tornado. They see a Trumpnado. If they've got tonsillitis, they don't even think they got tonsillitis. They'll say it's Trumpolitis. If they've got arthritis, it's Trumperitis. And I'll tell you, there's one lady right now. She's got a really bad case, Todd. Her name is of Trumpophobia, and that's Representative Frederica Wilson. You've heard of her, right, Todd?
Yes, I have, down in Miami.
Well, this lady, this representative, I don't know if you guys all know her or seen her. She goes around wearing all these like little cowboy hats. She's actually an insult to John Wayne. She thinks she's some John Wayne or something out there. She really does. I mean, she does. And she's really been hagging on our president for calling these Gold Star families. And a Gold Star family is a family that has lost a husband, a wife and family that's lost a husband in action. And Donald Trump has been calling some of these Gold Star families, and she's really been, Todd, she's been dragging him down the road. And Todd, I heard her. Not her. I heard one of the Gold Star family wives, a wife of a fallen soldier of this country. She released the audio of Donald Trump calling her. And I'll tell you, he was so sincere to her. She asked about her children. She told her that her husband was a hero. And I just think he was very sincere. Todd, do you want to say anything about Representative Paprika Wilson?
No, Donald,
I'm gonna shoot you, little lady.
That's a great analogy. Frederica Wilson is a Miami House of Representatives, and supposedly her story is that she heard the phone call to the wife when Donald Trump called the wife for the service member who passed in Niger, and I have some trouble with that because, number one, what's she doing with the wife at the same time that Donald Trump called the wife? I find that a little suspect. And then I looked into her, and there's some information out there. She's been one of these resistor Democrats since the very beginning. She's called for Trump's impeachment before. She's tweeted several horrible things about our president. And so, even though she's this bad John Wayne impersonator going on TV and doing these sorts of things, we we still have to recognize what it is. The media allows her to be their darling. The media allows her to go on and trash talk the president, just like they protect Antifa, just like they protect Hillary Clinton. Right now, I'm sure you've heard about it, Donald. The Russian narrative is collapsing on the Democrats.
Oh, it's a Clinton narrative, Todd.
Right.
It's the Clinton-Russian collusion. It never was a Trump collusion. It's
Right.
always been an Obama-Clinton, and we'll get to that in a minute, Todd.
Well, I just wanted to add on that. I just wanted to add on that point that I think right now what's happening. I think there's a story out that Hillary Clinton herself is trying to say now that even though Democrats were caught, colluding with Russia and other things with the Uranium One deal, I think the story out now is that she's still the victim of the Russian attempt to alter the election. I mean, she will not accept any responsibility whatsoever, period, for her role in a failed campaign. She won't do it.
Well, Todd, it's you heard of cockroaches and Cher, right?
Yeah.
They have one thing in common. They never go away. They never go away. It's hard to get rid of a cockroach and Cher. They just won't go away. And that's like Hillary. She just won't go away. But anyway, Todd, there's a lot of people here nowadays in this country, not everybody, but a lot of people in this country still today say that President Trump is not my president. And I've got something I got a message tonight. Well, you guys have all heard of the Electoral College, right? The
Yes.
Electoral College. That's how we vote in our presidents. That is remnants from our once great republic is this Electoral College. And if we ever lose that Electoral College, Todd, our country, you might as well just give it up. That is a remnant left over from a great republic we once had. And Todd, I want to read you the definition of a republic. And we don't really live in a republic anymore, Todd. It's what's basically they call it a democracy. Do you agree with that, Todd? Nowadays.
Go ahead, Donald.
Well, a republic, Todd, it's a state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, in which an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch, and that is a king. So
Right.
what do you got to say about that?
I want
Electoral College.
I want to emphasize this strongly. The Electoral College was designed into our founding documents, our Constitution, as a way to prevent certain states with more land mass than the smaller states from being able to control the outcome of the elections every single year. It gives voice to the voters in the smaller states and across the Midwest that don't have the populations that a city like Los Angeles has with millions of people, or a whole state like California. California and New York, based on population alone, could control the outcome of the elections if it went to a national vote, and that's completely unfair to everyone else in the nation. And you know what else, Donald? We've talked about this before. Each state in our union has something individual to give to the country.
Yes, we talked about that. Yes.
So on that point alone, if you go and take away all of those different states' rights to vote, which is in effect what they would do if they went to the national vote, if you take away their right to vote, they mean nothing.
You're talking about the popular vote, right, Tom?
I'm talking about the populations. Yeah, if it went to the popular vote and got rid of the Electoral College, which is what some of these Democrats want to do.
Right, but it was okay. It was okay though when they won the Electoral College vote.
Right,
it was okay
everything was okay, Donald. If Hillary Clinton said if Donald Trump wouldn't accept the results of the election, then that was un-American. Well, then she goes around and does a sore loser book tour where she's not accepting the results of the election. So everything's okay as long as it's a Democrat doing it.
Well, I'm waking up, Todd. You guys out there listening to Arm Radio tonight, my friend here, I really got to give him credit. He's a very intelligent man. He's been teaching me. He's been opening my eyes, so to say. And there's things we're going to talk about a little bit later on in this show. But Todd, there's something that we haven't discussed, and I know we've been putting it off. That's North Korea. Todd, can we talk a little bit about North Korea?
Yeah, sure.
What I think. Well, Todd, to talk about North Korea, we have to go back to the end of World War II. That's where it all began to me, Todd. The end of World War II. When we dropped those atom bombs, the Manhattan Project, we created atom bombs. And we were the only country at that time, Todd, I think it was in 1945, I do believe that we dropped the atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. Was it 1945? I believe it was.
I think you're close, yeah.
Well, anyway, we dropped those 2 bombs, and we were the only country at that particular time who had this technology. Now from Truman all the way up to Obama, I'm going to exclude President Reagan because he did do a lot of good things with Germany, bringing down the wall and everything. But every president from Harry Truman all the way to Obama, I can't count Trump in this because he's just 9 months into his I was going to say pregnancy. He's not pregnant. Yeah, his presidency. And well, anyway. We had this power, okay, this super great weapon. Not a great weapon, it's a weapon of mass destruction, Todd. Right. We're going to talk about uranium-1 because that's going to bring up uranium-1. And you got a lot to talk about that. But anyway, at that particular time, when we ended World War II, with the dropping of those 2 atom bombs, I forget the names of them. One was Little Boy, Fat Boy, something like that. We could have told the world at that time, Truman could have told the whole world, listen, we have the power. We will put it back, but if we find any other country in this world trying to obtain this power, we will use this power on you to stop you. Now, Todd, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's actually 9 countries in this world today that obtain nuclear power. Now, we're getting ready to have 10 if we don't stop them. Todd, do you want me to read off the list of the 9 countries?
Well, you can.
You think it's important?
Yeah, I do. But let me say one thing about North Korea. The people of North Korea are oftentimes despised by South Koreans. And I know this because my mother actually worked and had a very close friend that was from South Korea. Now the problem is, if we went in and airstriked North Korea, we're going to be killing a lot of innocent people that can't even get out of the country.
Well, you're right, Todd. And they've been treating their own people like animals, Todd.
Well,
you told me that.
That's what communism is. They starve them. Only the government can drive on the roads. They have very little food. If you don't have a picture of Kim Jong-un and his father hanging in your house and the police come in and see you don't have the photographs hanging up, they can kill you.
Well, Todd, they run your whole life, basically.
Yeah,
right? They run your life.
But they also can't get out. If they try to cross the TMZ line, they can be shot and killed. There used to be a tunnel years ago that many people got out of North Korea and fled to South Korea. Well, then the government found the tunnel and they really started looking for tunnels. So now there's like no way out for these people. And if you look at video of North Koreans, they're thin, they're very frail, and then it's terrible what they're doing.
I don't want President Trump to hurt the people of North Korea, but the government, here's my whole point about this, Todd. They were allowed, basically, from the last, I'm going to say the last 6, 7 presidents. Let's exclude Reagan. I don't think we should include him on this because I don't think he would have allowed North Korea to obtain these mass weapons, these weapons of mass destruction. But Todd, these past presidents, they did nothing. They did nothing to stop the Kim Jong-un, his father, his grandfather. They've been getting this stuff. And Todd, I think it's crooked politicians. It's crookedness. It's all about money, brother. It's about money. That's why North Korea ended up with these. We know now that they can hit major cities in the United States, Todd. They can, and they will one day if we don't stop them. But I don't want to see the people of North Korea get hurt because I don't blame it on them. I blame it on their leadership.
Well, they're a physical takeover of that country. They took it over by force, and that's why South had to split away. But I want to make 2 points, Donald. Number one, our bombers are on high alert, and it's the first time since 1991 that our bombers...
I'm scared. That scares me, Todd.
Well, but it's a sign. I'm not afraid. It's a sign that we have a president in command that the rest of the world is paying attention to. Now, when we're on high alert, and he also called in... retired Air Force pilots to be on standby if we need them. If we need them. And the other point is, if we're going to talk about the past presidents, then we need to talk about Bill Clinton during his time in the White House, where he signed a deal for nuclear armament for North Korea. And that deal was signed, but it had a 20-year span where it took 20 years for them to finally be able to get nuclear warheads. So Bill Clinton, had a lot to do. It's been 20 years now, and now they're at the point where they have they have this so-called nuclear capability.
Well, they shouldn't have it, Todd. They should not have that nuclear capability.
But
I blame them for that. I do blame Clinton. I blame Obama. I blame the Bush brothers, the Bush boys,
right.
Senior and Junior. And Bill Clinton, he should have been worried about North Korea more than he should have his cigars, Todd. He was worried about cigars being in the Oval Office more than he was North Korea obtaining these weapons of mass destruction. Now, Todd, I was telling you that there is 9 countries in the world right now. It's so important, Todd, but there's getting ready to be a 10th one. First one is the United States, Russia, the UK, France, China, North Korea. We know they got it now. It's been proven. India, Pakistan, Israel, and like I said, soon to be Iran. And what scares me, Todd, is if we go in there to bomb these nuclear facilities and his military sites in North Korea, I'm afraid, Todd, here's what scares me, that it's going to trigger World War III, because if North Korea was to get off a few of those missiles, lob off a few of their missiles, you know we have nothing to do but retaliate and lob some missiles back, right?
Right.
Now, right there, you know yourself that North Korea borders China and it borders Russia.
Right.
So what's going to happen, Todd, if they lob off some missiles and we lob off some missiles? I think, to me, it's going to cause a chain reaction, and everybody will start lobbing off missiles. Then we're World War III, a nuclear World War III, and I just don't think I would want to live in a nuclear fallout world, Todd. I don't want to live in a world like that.
Me personally, I think Rocket Man is probably going to fizzle out long before any rockets get sent off.
I hope so.
And I love it that he mocks a little Rocket Man by calling him that, because you have to understand, the CIA has wanted North Korea to fall and the Kim Jong-un regime to fall for many years. The CIA has tried to do things overseas for a long time, but now what's happened is no president ever got behind it. Like you said, Clinton's deal stood in effect for the presidents after him, so they couldn't really do anything. But now that 20 years is up, just like the JFK document release is up after 60 years.
I was getting ready to ask you
that,
Todd.
There's a lot going on at the same time. But with North Korea, Donald, I don't believe that there's anything other than threats that Kim Jong-un can make to try to keep us out of his country. Now, do I believe our CIA should be in all these countries? No, I don't. Do I think we should police the world? No, I don't. But should North Korea have nuclear weapons?
No.
I don't believe they should. When they have museums over there, I've watched documentaries about this, where they believe they beat the Americans in the Korean conflict.
They do believe they need to tell their people they won the war.
They
still think they can whip us. Todd, we would whip them in a ground war. So easy. And those people don't, like, we had a Korean war. You know that, right? That war, I don't think. And somebody, if I'm wrong, please tell me. But I don't think that war was ever officially over, Todd. That war with North Korea, I don't think it ever officially ended.
That might explain the TMZ line in the buildings there, where the guards are all guarding the line.
And we still got soldiers there too, Todd. Right on that TMZ line.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, demilitarized.
DMZ. But anyway. You brought up a good subject, a good topic, rather, I should say. The last remaining documents related to JFK's assassination. You brought that up. Now, Todd, I'm going to ask you a few things here. They're getting ready to release it, and I know you was telling me, I think it was you, that said, I think it was the CIA, or they're trying to go against Trump to keep him from releasing these documents. But, Todd, they said there's 30,000 never-seen-before documents, and another 34,000 redacted. Now, I asked you earlier today, because you guys, I really don't know every word in the dictionary, what redacted means. And Mr. Doyle here told me that redacted means it's documents that's been blackened out. You know how you see those documents? You told me about, Todd.
Yeah, they were markered out.
And anyway, it goes back, Todd was telling me about the CIA might have been involved. And you guys know, you've heard of the Warren Commission. Have you ever heard of the Warren Commission?
Yeah.
Well, you know, Gerald Ford was part of that commission.
Right.
And I do believe that they didn't tell the truth on that whole story. And Todd, here's where I want to get to you. This is very important to me. This is what scares me. This is what I do not want to believe. And I'm having trouble. I don't want to believe it. And just like you said, the CIA might have been involved with this. Todd, only thing I can say is I hope, just like John F. Kennedy, the assassination of that president. Now, Todd, don't get me wrong. I know John F. Kennedy was a Democrat, but during the Cuban Missile Crisis, he did blockade Cuba. He stopped those Russian ships from coming and bringing those warheads to those missiles. Now, he did it not in cowardliness way, but he did it in a way to show power. He did stop them, and we come so close to nuclear war. Now, here's the part where I want you to chime in, Todd. The CIA may be involved in something like Kennedy's assassination. I give Kennedy credit, and with this 9/11 stuff, Todd, I don't want to believe it. I just don't want to believe our country could do something like that. I don't want to believe. I'm in denial, basically.
Well, they call that cognitive dissonance, where you're struggling with what you know is documented facts versus what you want to believe because of the conditioning that, you know, loving your country brings. You know, we're brought up in America where we're taught to, you know, say the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools. We're supposed to love our nation. And a lot of people older than me, I'm 38, a lot of people older than me have a hard time with it. But if you've studied the government, like I said before, for the past 30 years at least, we've been ran by criminals. They've done criminal things. So I'm hearing, what my information is telling me is that George Bush Sr. is going to be implicated in the release of these documents as having some involvement with Kennedy's assassination. That goes back to a lot of reports that used to be conspiracy theory that says there's a photograph of him making a phone call right after JFK was shot, and he's also standing in Daley Plaza when JFK is shot, and he also could never tell people where he was when Kennedy was shot because people ask him about it later.
Oh, there's so much to it, Todd. There's a lot to that.
There's a lot to it, Donald, but you made several points that, you know, it's hard to believe sometimes that, you know, when bad information comes out. That's why I've been following this all week long, because this is going to be a huge story. It's going to break Thursday. Thursday's the deadline that Trump has to release the documents. But in the beginning of the week, you know, Monday and even Sunday of this week, the media was saying the CIA was pushing back against Trump to not release the documents. Now, that goes back into the deep state, and I've talked about this before, where we have like George Bush holdovers in the CIA that are pro-globalism, because George Bush had the Carlyle Group, which was all about...
No, wait a minute. Is these people, Todd, that's been in the government for a very long time, that's worked in these agencies for a long time?
It's people that believe in the destruction of the sovereignty of the United States. They're people like Richard Haas at the Council on Foreign Relations. They're people that believe in what David Rockefeller believed in for the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and other things, where the sovereignty of the United States has to be broken for there to be a new world order and for there to be global government where all of these super wealthy elitists can rule the world is what they want. They want to be able to rule the world.
I find it a damn shame. I find it a damn shame, Todd. I just do. And if our country, I've always thought and believed as a child, Todd, that our country was there to protect us. Our government, I should say our government, was there to protect us, Todd, and it's a damn shame that we have to worry about our own government. We've got enemies outside our country. Why should we have to sit around and worry about our own government hurting its own people, let alone their own president, Todd? It just makes me sick, man.
It's disgusting, and I agree with you. That's why I've always said I love my country, but I've had problems with my government, because government is just men and women operating in their positions, and if they become corrupted, then we get a corrupt government. That's why our Constitution allows for the people to overthrow that government and create a new one if necessary. That's why we're allowed militias. That's why we're allowed the Second Amendment, is to prevent tyranny.
I don't think they care about us no more, Todd. We the people, I don't think we matter to these people in government no more, though, Todd.
It matters now. Donald Trump was that correction, Donald. He was pro-America. He was pro-sovereignty. He's pro First and Second Amendment. He uses his First Amendment with his Twitter accounts, and he also wants national open and concealed carry for everybody.
Oh, man, I agree with you fully on the Donald Trump. I do believe you on that part, Todd.
Right.
I'm talking about these other agencies like the CIA, the FBI, and all these other agencies that are in our government. The things I've been hearing, Todd, it scares me, man. It scares me.
I don't want to scare the audience, Donald, but there are a lot of documents out there. There's a lot of proof out there. There's a lot of speculation out there that there were corrupt people doing corrupt things in the CIA, both on domestic soil, which is illegal, and overseas, which they do in all the countries. They want to topple the dictators and replace them with somebody that's gonna work with the United States better, is what they say. But then it causes all this mass chaos, and like Hillary and Obama, they profited and thrived off of the chaos they could create overseas. Well, and even rhino Republicans like John McCain have been.
I love that word, rhinos. I love that word.
Republican in name only. They have been photographed. John McCain's been photographed. They say it's fake. I've looked this up. Different sites say different things. That John McCain was not photographed with one of the ISIS leaders, but John McCain has been all over the world meeting with some shady people in the past, and then this was all happening while the Benghazi gun running was going on, which was a CIA-sanctioned operation.
See, it goes back to them again. That keep coming up. Them and the FBI keep coming up and everything, man.
Well, here's what I think about with the FBI, Donald. I don't believe that career officers in the FBI want to see our country fall, so they're pro-America. Those guys that, just like any man or woman serving our country in any fashion, loves our country, so they decide to serve in any way, shape, or form. Those people are pro-America. They don't want globalism any more than you or I do. So then you've got the other interest, which is all money and finance and connected to a global money system, a global production system where China produces everything and all the other countries produce nothing. I mean, and what happens is...
You're getting the top. I think we should end the JFK thing really quick, because we do got some very good topics with the JFK thing that you got me worried about this. And here, Todd, I'll end this JFK thing, the John F. Kennedy. Todd, when this comes out, these unseen documents, there's 3,000 there, the 3,000, and you got 34,000, like you said, redacted ones. When they do come out, Mr. Doyle, right. I pray that our government had nothing to do with that. I am praying for that. But then again, think about it, Todd. You had Lee Harvey Oswald, that was supposedly the single shooter, according to the Warren Commission, right? Yeah. Now this man, Lee Harvey Oswald, he went to Russia. He became a Russian citizen. He detracted from the United States. He was in Cuba. He married a Russian woman. Now, Todd, why would our country even let that man back in here? Why would they? Good question. There must have been a conspiracy somewhere, right?
Hey, a conspiracy, I've talked about this before. 22,000 cases a year go through our U.S. court systems on conspiracy. The CIA created the term conspiracy theorist to discredit
I love that.
In 1967 to discredit people who were investigating the CIA. But you're making several points here I want to follow up on, Donald.
Oh, you said that. Wait, I want to go back. I want to understand that. Now, the CIA created that word, conspiracy theory, just to make it look like it was all theory, correct?
Yeah, to discredit people who had actual documents.
Evidence.
Yeah, but the other point I want to make is the Warren Commission was set up to fail. We've got the 9/11 Commission report that came out, and the Lee Hamilton, the head of that, and he was originally supposed to be Henry Kissinger. Now that's the same type of thing with the JFK Warren Commission, was they put their own people in to investigate what happened. What I'm hearing is that George Bush Sr. and Ted Cruz's father, Raphael Cruz, and the family of Lyndon Johnson, they're all going to be implicated in the death of JFK.
That would be horrible.
I'm letting people know this because if it's true and it comes out this way, people need to be prepared for what that means. If George Bush Sr. was involved in the death of JFK, that completely delegitimizes George Bush Jr.'s presidency and his presidency, because it's like a family operation there. So with the 9/11 Commission report, with Lee Hamilton coming out and saying they were set up to fail, and they weren't allowed to put in testimony and reports of people and eyewitnesses that were on the ground and heard multiple explosions on 9/11. There's so much left of the 9/11 Commission report that it reminds me, Donald, of the Warren Commission report. Because anytime they wanted to use Henry Kissinger, who is riddled in corruption, just like Hillary Clinton, this guy Henry Kissinger is so bad.
You're going back in the past again here on that. Now you took me back to the past with Henry Kissinger. Right. You're making me think again of another Kennedy that got killed. Let's not forget about Robert Kennedy.
Right.
He was running in the primaries. I think he would have became president, Todd. Now, he was killed by a man named Sirhan Sirhan. Now, why is it that nobody ever got into this man's head and found out if that was a setup? How come he never was? I don't know if has he been talked to?
Yes.
Has he made interviews to people in public?
Yes.
I mean,
originally he said he couldn't remember anything, and that got into a
Manchurian Candidate kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, it's called MK Ultra, where the government can brainwash people and make them forget things, and there's a lot of things. There's a movie out called Men Who Stare at Goats, and it has Clooney in it, George Clooney. Yeah. That movie was actually based on a program the government did where they had men who tried to stare at goats to make the goats fall over. And sometimes I guess it worked, sometimes it didn't. The government investigates and studies all kinds of things that the American people don't know about. There's actually a law, Donald.
I don't want it to be true, though, Tom. I don't want it to be true.
Let me tell you this. There's actually a law on the books that the Army is allowed to test biological weapons on the American populace without their knowledge or consent. And they've actually done it, flew over certain areas, released a chemical, and then all the hospitals report back to them how many people got sick, and then they have their number, so they know what it did, and this is something that they've actually done in the past. They released a bomb in one of our cities. I don't want to say the wrong one. I believe it was around Philadelphia. They released a bomb back in the 60s they blew up a part of a town that was a black community, and I'm not sure why they did it. They've given black men...
This is our Army. You're talking about our United
I'm talking about our government in general, but yeah, they've given black men syphilis. I mean, they've done a lot of different like LSD testing on people, and a lot of people go missing every year. A lot of grown adults go missing.
It's just scary.
I'm just saying, it is crazy. I know it's crazy. I'm not asking anyone to totally listen to every word I say and believe it as the gospel. I'm asking people...
You've done a lot of research, though, Todd. You've done a lot of research. And I hate repeating your name, Todd, but I do got to say Todd. But anyway, there is a donkey in the room tonight. There's one big, huge donkey, and you know what they call a donkey. It's a
jackass.
All right, this donkey that's in this room with us tonight, and I know it's a new news, and it's getting ready to come out, and I know you've got a lot to talk about this. This is the Uranium One deal with this Russian-backed uranium ore firm in 2010. Now, we all know that 20%, I think it was 20% of our uranium was sold to this company, this Russian-backed company, which initially is going to end up in the Russian government's hands. We know that, Todd. And
right.
I'm gonna let you chime in on this because I know you got a lot to talk about Uranium One. You know a lot more about this than me. But here's my take on uranium, Todd. When we get uranium in our country, in the United States, no other country, that should be something that should not be for sale because it is a very rare ore. It's an ore, but they take it and they make weapons of mass destruction. Now, they can deceive us, these countries can, and say, oh, we want to build nuclear power plants. But, Mr. Doyle, I don't even like nuclear power plants. People say it's good, clean, safe energy, but it's not, Todd. Just like for Fukushima, we go Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island. I just don't think our uranium that's being mined here in this country should end up in the hands of a potential enemy like Russia. Now, you got a lot to say. Go ahead. It's all yours, brother.
Well, let me tell you what will happen. When Russia gets a hold of the uranium, they can sell it to whoever they want to once it's in their possession. This deal in 2010 was started because a man named Frank Gustra, and I've got information on him on my timeline if I'm friends with anybody listening. I've got an album on him, actually. Frank Gustra was friends with Bill Clinton. He donated to the Clinton Foundation. He is a billionaire. He travels the world and starts different things in different countries. He's not the same type of character as a George Soros who thrives on, like, you know, chaos in different cities and countries. He actually has businesses. He's tied into Pizzagate with a boys' home that has his name on it, that had the emblem of the triangle with the spiral circle on the blue that the FBI said was a emblem of pedophilia.
I don't like that Pizzagate
the boys' home. Well, I have to talk about it, Don. People might not like to hear this stuff, but this is who this guy is. Frank Gustra was behind this deal. He organized this deal, and he's tied into the boys' home that has the emblem of the pedophilia on their damn door. So we have to mention this stuff so people understand. The media's not going to tell them this, but if you look at his public Twitter feed, you can find all this stuff out. You type in Pizzagate, Frank Gustra, and all kinds of stuff comes up. So this guy's really dirty, and he's personal friends with Bill and Hillary Clinton. He donated millions of dollars. Hillary made $145 million to the Clinton Foundation because she did the pay-to-play where they paid her to be able to finance that deal. Now, it changed names. The company it's known as Uranium One now, but prior to that, it had a different name. And so they changed the name like a quick change, you know, like a bait and switch, you know.
It was an ore firm, you know, where they dig ore. It's ores and minerals, you know that. And
right.
Here's my question,
uranium, Donald, is used in the production of nuclear missiles.
Yes. So, it's very dangerous stuff. And
yeah.
I had a question for you, Mr. Doyle.
Sure.
Back in 2010, when this so-called Uranium One deal was happening, why wasn't the red flags brought up in 2010?
Oh, okay.
Why was we not aware of this? The people of this country. I never heard nothing about it, Doyle. I didn't hear nothing. Doyle, Todd.
Okay. This news broke this week that Robert Mueller was the FBI director when the Uranium One deal was going through, and FBI agents actually arrested 10 different Russian spies, Donald, related to the Uranium One deal, and Hillary Clinton worked feverishly, I'm quoting the article, she worked feverishly to get those 10 spies back to Russia immediately, and no one said or did anything. Robert Mueller was involved.
That's what I'm saying. I heard nothing about it. I didn't hear nothing about it.
I didn't either, because Hillary Clinton and the Clinton machine owns the media, obviously. I mean, WikiLeaks exposed 50 journalists communicating with her to pre-approve her stories. I mean, they call it the Clinton machine for a reason. Don't you think it's
something that the American people should have known, that we were our government, Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, and our president was doing deals with uranium? Don't you think the people should have known about that, Todd?
I think a lot of things that, yes, we should have known about it. We're hearing about it now thanks to the hard work of people like Trey Gowdy and Jason Chaffetz in the United States.
Give them credit.
No, yeah, that investigated Benghazi. All of this came about because of Benghazi, Donald. If they would not have investigated Benghazi and had Hillary on the stand for 13 hours, they would have never found out about her secret Chappaqua server in her basement. They would have never found these emails. If WikiLeaks wouldn't have happened, where, you know, this is a funny side story. John Podesta, who's also implicated in Pizzagate, John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's chief of staff.
He sounds like a pedophile.
They say that his phone was hacked. They say his emails were stolen. There was a Washington, D.C. news reporter that put a story out from, I guess, investigating everything, that John Podesta really dropped his phone in D.C. and somebody picked it up and it had no password protection on it.
Oh, man.
And this guy's riddled in scandal, riddled in guilt.
People like Podesta and Wiener, these people, Todd, we need to just get rid of them out of this country. I'm tired of people.
But they're here. They're here. So we know communists are here. We know radical jihadis are here. We know that there's people that like to burn down cities like Baltimore and chant "kill cops, fry 'em like bacon."
Well,
in Dallas.
man. We've got one man on our side right now, brother. We've got a ace in the hole, and that's a Mr. Trump.
That's right.
I can tell you now, we do got Mr. Trump, and I thank God we've got him here because he is going to put a stop to a lot of this, Todd. I hope.
Here's why I love Trump. I've known for years that the media was fake news. I knew that they fake stories. There's been a long-standing video of CNN faking the Iraqi war sirens or bomb sirens, and that's all come out. CNN is faked more probably than any of the other news networks. That's why CNN is so hated. They've been caught and busted more. So now we know that not only was it bad, it was really bad because the emails prove how bad it really was, with journalists not being able to write official, authentic story about Hillary Clinton without it being pre-approved by her. Now, what were those people afraid of? You know, we talk about the trail of dead bodies behind the Clintons. There's no trail of dead bodies behind Donald Trump. And in fact, it's the complete opposite. There's a trail of people behind Donald Trump who fully support the man. We have the first women contractors in New York to run big high-rise buildings. But the Democrats don't talk about that. And they push
there you go. You said it. You said it right there. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No,
that's okay.
I apologize. I swear I do. But you said that word again. And it's this word keeps coming up in every bad thing you hear in this country lately. And you just said that word. I don't even know if you remember what you said. You said it, Democrat. For some reason, this Democrat word, it always comes up when there's something very bad. Now, you know the Democratic Party is not what it seems, Todd. It's not what it's
Let me elaborate, Donald. They've tried to co-opt words like love, which sounds nice, and diversity. This great video it's in our group right now. Diversity. They make things. They take all the good words, diversity, love, and then they turn them into something bad. Culture.
Love Trump's hate.
Right. Well, and then they say love Trump's hate, but then they're the ones out throwing sticks in the street. They only use those good words until you don't agree with them, and then they viciously attack you as saying that you're a bigot, a racist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, and all these other things. Hillary Clinton was so disgusting to get on national TV. Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well, that's because you're a loser, Hillary.
Well,
that's why you weren't 50 points ahead.
What does it make? At this point, what matter does it?
Right.
What does it matter?
That was about four people that worked for her, Donald. They weren't just anybody. Chris Stevens was her ambassador over there, and she didn't seem to get, if you watch her body language, she didn't seem to care that the man was dead. She didn't seem to care.
Todd, they disgraced that man's body, what they did to that man. It was horrible.
Would you
agree with me?
Yes.
Would you agree with me on this?
Yes.
For the last 50 years, the Democratic Party has just used people of color for votes. Would you agree with me on that?
I do agree with you, and I also want to talk about sanctuary cities and why they're doing it. They have promised sanctuary to illegal criminal aliens because once they get them into the country, they don't care how many come. They know if it's the Democrats that give them, some sanctuary or safety, I don't want to say citizenship because, or a path to citizenship, they say, well, if they get them in here and make it legal for illegals to be here, they're going to be voting Democrat for the rest of their lives in America. That's why Democrats need that voting block.
Change the demographic.
It's a demographic that they're after. They're actively working to get it. That's why Obama didn't do anything about the border. They knew the Democratic Party was going to fail eventually.
It's so funny. It's not funny, but I'm just laughing because it is, Todd. It's always something with them people.
They need to be disbanded. The Democratic Party needs to be disbanded.
I know you have this deep, I'm not going to call it a hatred. Well, it is a hatred, maybe. I don't know. I know you've been studying more about Hillary and the Democratic Party.
It's definitely not a love.
I know it's not a love. I can tell you that now. But, Todd, everything, just like Clinton. Let's go back to Clinton, Bill Clinton. You mentioned his name earlier. You brought him up.
Well, he did a nuclear deal with North Korea.
You brought him up. but back in 1996, Todd, he signed a law about welfare reform. He gutted that. And I want the poor people out there to know, all the working poor, that your good president, this loving president, William Jefferson Clinton, he gutted the welfare reform for all you poor guys out there and older folks out there. And he did a lot of bad things, you guys. He deregulated Wall Street, Todd. He deregulated that. You know what that means, right?
Yeah. I also know his wife, Hillary Clinton, who later tried to run for president and had the whole primary rigged for her. I also know that Hillary Clinton, who still lost, also tried to take over health care, and she was an unelected official. And I remember back during those years that the people of this country were pissed off because she wasn't elected to take over health care. But Bill Clinton made a statement, Hillary and I worked together. Well, that tells you now, 20-some years later, they're still working together. They're Bonnie and Clyde 2.0. They ran a global racketeering a global racketeering syndicate that they pushed around the smaller countries. They took $145 million to sell Russia our uranium. That's how much they pocketed. Okay?
Do you remember? I know you're 38, Todd. You're 10 years younger than me. But do you remember when Hillary Clinton, right out of her own lips, she was talking about blacks and brown people.
She predators.
Said super predators.
Yep.
Do you know what that calls, Todd, in this country? It calls racial profiling.
Yeah. And she wants
brother.
She wants to walk that back nowadays. She's given all these interviews, Donald, too. I mean, that's an old one. But in the past week, she's given three.
I had to bring it up.
I know. But for the black community that might be listening, when she called young black men super predators, and said they need to be brought to heel, we need to bring them to heel. That's a pretty damn racist statement.
That is racist.
And she wants to call half of Trump supporters racists, xenophobes, Islamophobes, bigots,
Nazis,
all that.
Nazis.
Yeah,
Nazis.
Yeah, Trump is literally Hitler. These people actually soak this stuff up like it is just in an IV and it's nothing but BS. And they have an IV of BS in their arm and they just can't wait for the next drip.
They need a big dose of Trumpicillin.
They do. They need Trumpicillin worse than anybody. But
on a lighter note, we better let everybody out there know. Some of them do. Kid Rock will not be running for senator for the state of Michigan, Tom.
I think that's a shame.
It is a shame, but I guess he was talking to Howard Stern, and he said I'm not going to say it, but basically he got to see everybody's true colors. When you get into politics, Todd, how dirty politics is dirty. It is dirty, man.
It is. I find it funny, though, that back during the 2016 election with Ted Cruz, it came out that, Trump said something about Ted Cruz's father that had something to do with JFK. And now we're days away from these documents that implicate Rafael Cruz. Trump, what I'm getting at is he might have been right. Maybe somehow he got briefed on something and this intel was floating around or somebody whispered it in his ear, little birdie, and then he believed the source and said, I remember Ted Cruz got a little silent on that note after Trump said that Ted Cruz's father, Rafael Cruz, who immigrated here, I believe from, was it Cuba?
I don't know. I'm not laughing at you, Todd. I just got something I'm going to throw something out at you in a minute, man.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just going to throw a sentence out at you. Rachel Maddow needs to get a life, man. Rachel Maddow needs to get a life. That guy needs to get a life.
That guy's got problems. That's Keith Olbermann's replacement. And I used to watch Keith Olbermann during
everybody knows. I hope they know Rachel Maddow's a woman, right?
Yeah, well, that's probably debatable in some circles, but Keith Olbermann used to talk about George Bush during his presidency, and sometimes I would tune in and listen to what he said. And a lot of the laws that were being passed were very criminal. Military Commissions Act took away habeas corpus. George Bush signed it. and some other ones that also happened. But I used to listen to Keith Olbermann sometimes, and I'm not a Democrat, but I wanted to see what he had to say. And then he brought Rachel Maddow in, and Keith Olbermann's been fired from like all of his jobs, so he's not really that good of an anchor. But God forbid he didn't come out swinging against Donald Trump, just like all these other clowns from Hollywood. And you got Harvey Weinstein, actually, Donald, that got caught up in this these rape charges out. The owner of the Weinstein Company and another picture company. Well, he paid the legal bills for Bill and Hillary Clinton. So I mean, this guy, he has financed corruption, and he's probably a rapist and a pedophile. So I mean, when does it stop?
I gotta laugh though, Todd. If I don't laugh, I would go insane because of this madness.
You'd be like me. You'd be like me then if you didn't laugh. You'd be insane.
Did you know there was an elementary school out in Massachusetts? Now, we know Massachusetts is Democratic, right?
Right.
But this is an elementary school, Todd. For Halloween, they literally brought out some tombstones, and in the school, and they put Donald Trump's name on a tombstone. Todd, that's not cool, man. That just ain't right. And
it's un-American.
Just goes on and on and on. We didn't do that. We didn't do that during the Obama years, Todd.
No, we didn't. But it's so un-American. It's like not putting ketchup on a hot dog at a cookout. It's un-American.
It's like not liking apple pie, right?
Right. It's just un-American. The teachers unions, they're basically overrun with liberals, Donald. And I feel sorry for the conservative teachers that are in the industry of teaching our young people, and all their coworkers are ate up with all this hate for our president, and they're like, yeah, I voted for Trump, but I can't ever say nothing at the teachers' training or the meetings that the teachers have or the in-service days. I can't tell any of my coworkers that I voted for Trump because they'll string them up after school by the volleyball net. It's just terrible.
Well, Todd, we got local elections coming up. We got big election coming up next year, 2018. And I just want to get this out there. I've told you this, what I heard today. Everybody, the elections are coming up. And one thing that I've just learned, that silence is consent. Silence is consent. You guys think about that. And I heard a very wise man talking, Todd, about silence is consent. And you know what he means by that? I know you know what he means. But
yeah, go ahead.
That's like me and you sitting at a table. And if I got a donut sitting here, and you take my donut and start eating that donut, if I don't speak up, well, you're just going to take that donut from me, Todd. You're just going to take it. If we don't speak up, you're basically giving, like our elected officials, you're giving them consent if you don't speak up against them.
That's exactly why I've been at this for about 30 years, Donald. And that's for that reason.
That's why me and you get along. We're totally opposite in certain ways, but we're totally alike in other ways.
Right. The silence is consent thing, I look at it like this. If you're in an apartment building and your neighbor is beating his wife or girlfriend and it goes on all night long and he eventually kills her, and you never picked up the phone, you never knocked on the door, you never did anything, you're just as guilty as the man that hit the woman the last time before she died.
That's a good analogy.
That's the way you should look at crime and criminals running our government, is that it can never be allowed.
Well, people need to speak up, Todd.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you're so ostracized because of the weaponized media attacking you every day and turning people against you that are like zombies because, like I said, they eat it up. People love the echo chamber, Donald. They love the bubble they're in. They don't like information that contradicts what they think they believe or have been told.
Well, like most taxes, Todd, and levies, Todd. Most of that, it's legalized theft. You know that, right?
Taxation is theft, Donald.
It's legalized theft, brother.
That's a very libertarian principle. Taxation is theft.
It is. And
it is.
Todd, I know we're running short on time tonight, Todd. Let's talk a little bit about Trump's tweets.
Well, wait. wait. Before we move on, about the local elections for the people in the United States, you need to get involved because we've learned, Donald and I have learned here recently, that a lot of Democrats are not advertising the fact that they're a Democrat. And if you believe, like I do, that the Democratic Party needs to be disbanded due to the corruption, you need to call your local board of elections or call the candidate or message them on social media and find out if they are a...
Didn't we, Tom?
Yeah, we did. We did.
For our local election, folks, we our local, Todd, you brought it up. Now, you brought it up, so I got to tell them really quick here. In our local election, every sign, everybody running for judge or trustee or city council, nobody but one man is putting their party's emblem on their signs. Now, to me, that is being kind of what's the word?
Nasty.
It's
nasty.
You're deceiving them people. You're deceiving people.
That's right. Deceptive tactics.
It is deceptive because if you tell them what party you're with, it kind of gives you a good idea on where they stand on certain things.
If we're going to drain the swamp, the first thing we need to do is we need to get Republicans into these Democratic stronghold cities, and because they're the ones that are pro-sanctuary city and pro-gun-free zones that do not work. I mean, people know this. You take away people's right to own a weapon, and there goes everybody's right to be protected. I mean, gun-free zones do not work.
We could have a whole show on gun rights.
Criminals don't follow laws, people, and that's all I want to reiterate on that.
You're right. That's so. And we know next week we will talk about guns because only the bad guys would keep their guns, and the guns would be taken away from only the good people.
That's right.
But the Trump's tweets, Todd, it's a big deal to me because just like we ran into a woman the other night, what was the first thing she told us? I like Donald Trump. I just wish he would quit tweeting. Well, he's got a big ego the size of Texas, and it does hurt when people lie to you, when they lie about you. It does, and Donald Trump, he works. That man don't ever sleep. I think he sleeps 3 or 4 hours a night. He works constantly, and all he does is get ping, and lies, and he lashes back. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. In my opinion, he strikes back. He doesn't strike first. And when he strikes back, normally, I'd say almost 10 out of 10, he's been proven right 10 out of 10 on any strike back. He's not blowing hot air up people's,
I want us to wrap it up, Todd.
All right.
Everybody, thank you for listening to All Aboard with me and Todd Doyle. It's been a pleasure talking to everybody out there on Armed Radio. Todd, you want to end it?
I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to follow our live videos, join us on Trump 2020 ! In Facebook groups, and it's been a great show tonight. I appreciate the time.
Well, and everybody respect our flag of these United States. God bless you, and God bless America, and God bless our president. Let's hope that God gives him the wisdom to make the right decisions in our country. So, Todd, how do we end this out, brother?
I just totally agree with you, Donald. Amen on that.
Does the show just end, or what do we do here? It says, folks, you wrap it up.